wrecking machine. I'll take it.
Are you sure you're not interested? I was like, don't ask me again.
And it's a bad hair day too.
So she's like, scream for me, and then it's just dead silence.
It was a good risk to take, and it was great.
Boom! I'm gonna try to give you a friend, and then I was like,
I wish you had like a granny mask.
That would be so cool, or like a ghost uniform.
And everybody was like totally freaked out.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Kia ora. Hello.
Hello, Mark.
About myself, I can't afford to. Oh, I'm trying to be more open, but it's harder than you think. I never had a social life, I never knew what love was like. I don't know what is wrong and what is right. Acting all fly, bragging to the guys, trying to steal the show. Secrets and lies, sneaking at night. I think you ought to know. You should be a team player, not just a player. Otherwise I'll say goodbye, I'll see you later. Cold-blooded, you shouldn't wonder why I left you with the rearview mirror. Don't act so surprised, it's true. Everything was me and you. Team player, play on.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts, based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Well, afternoon for me here in Seattle on Monday, April 5th, 2021. And I'm very excited to get started with my second round of my, what I call a music symposium. It's music hangout, whatever you want to kind of call it. I've been really fortunate to by doing these live streams, and even before doing these live streams, of coming in contact with some really amazing talented young artists, and in this particular case, and also 2 months ago when we did the first one, young talented female artists. So I'm always trying to do what I say I like to do, which is to walk the walk and support young people when I can, and also talented people. And these guests all fit all the criteria and then some. So it's gonna be fun getting a chance to talk with all of them and just kind of hang out for the next hour. So we'll be done by 2 p.m. I know people have schedules to keep, so I'll be mindful of the time today. We won't just so happen to bleed over into 2.5 hours or things that get really long if you've been following anything that I do here. If you happen to be watching for the first time on YouTube, if you could like the video and also subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. And if you're over on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, I also appreciate that as well. Every like and follow and subscription button thing helps. Must be Monday, I can't even talk. But let's get to things. My guests today are all fantastic female music talents. I'm very excited to have them all here for the next hour to discuss their music and everything under the sun. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Tigerlily, Ashlyn Malia, and Mariah Belgrod. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Oh boy, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It was interesting trying to get everyone's schedules together, but here we all are on this Monday, so I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having us.
Yes, best way to start the week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So for people that are watching this and maybe you're not as familiar with who's who and what they do and where they're at and all that kind of thing, I want to just kind of quickly do a round robin, kind of go around person by person, and then we'll just kind of jump into things. So I'll just start down. Well, I can't point the right way. I'll point to Ashlyn. If you could kind of talk about who you are, what you do, and where you're located, that'd be great.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ashlyn Malia. I am a Los Angeles-based artist and songwriter, and I've been writing songs since I was about 10 years old. and I just use it as a way to kind of like understand myself. And recently I've been producing these songs and putting them out there. And I have an EP coming up this summer, and I just released a song called Open. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome. And thank you. We'll go next to Mariah.
Yeah, I'm Mariah. I'm a Seattle-based singer-songwriter for pop. I like to use my music to empower females especially, but anyone in the industry and outside. And I like to use my platform for mental health awareness. I manage anxiety and depression. I'm really open about it. And being a creative, that really helps me flourish and thrive. So, and grow. And so that's what I like to do.
Awesome. Thank you. And we'll go to Tigerlily.
Hi, I'm Tigerlily. I'm a Los Angeles-based pop artist. I grew up playing like in a grunge band in Seattle, and then I recently made the move out to LA.
Okay, cool. Well, again, thank all of you for being here. And for someone like me that is, well, let's just say I'm older, that all of you really utilize different social media platforms extremely well. And so I'm curious about, how do you feel about social media right now? Is it something that is a necessary evil? Is it something that you like doing, that you look forward to it? What are your opinions on that? And anybody can jump in.
I'll go. It's different every day, honestly. Like, I feel like there are some days when I'm like, oh yeah, like I totally feel like putting myself out there and like posting about things and, you know, interacting with other people. And there's some days where I'm like, oh my goodness, this isn't life. This isn't reality sometimes. And I just like, I need to step away. I need to like talk to real people and like be in nature or something like that. But it's definitely an important thing when it comes to putting your music out there. And that's what I've realized. And I have to kind of like push it more. But there's like, I'm like walking that fine line between like really being active and remaining authentic. And sometimes it's a little bit hard.
Yeah, I definitely like hear the trying to be authentic while being active. And like, I mean, especially with COVID and everything, it's been really challenging to find things that are interesting to put out to people, you know, because I'm doing a lot of similar things every day. I'm not really going anywhere. It's super exciting. Or I wasn't. Now I'm starting to, because the world's opening back up. Mm-hmm. But I think like it's been, at first it was a bit overwhelming because there's just so many people and so many people want to talk to you and get to know you. And I kind of let too many people into my world. And then I started to like just have that fine line of like, okay, you need to disconnect and have time for you as well. So I think over time I've developed my own routine and way of managing social media, but it's been an adventure for sure. So there's pros and cons, definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would say I like social media because I like the community on there. Like a lot of people who I end up being friends with in real life, I find through social media. So I found it's like a pretty good community of people. I think the hardest thing for me was just balancing, like, because I view the social media kind of like the marketing side of it, and then the actual music creation is a different part of it. So just figuring out like the balance between how much time I'm spending on the social media and like the marketing versus like actually making music and working on like songwriting.
I feel that.
Okay. And do you ever feel that kind of pressure, like I need to put something out? I haven't posted in a day or whatever that's
yes.
like.
Yeah, I feel bad like when I go out with my friends because I'm like feeling the need to constantly create content while I'm doing things or like behind the scenes, and I'm like, can we just stop so I can take a picture of this? And like I feel like I don't want to be the burden of the group, but you know, like it's just good to take advantage of cool places while you're there, or like a cute outfit or things that you can stock up and post whenever you need to make an announcement.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you gotten to a point where you've taken a break from social media at all for a length of time?
Yes. I during the pandemic, there was like a time where I was just like not doing anything all day except for like being on my phone. And it wasn't even like I was posting anything. I was just sitting on my phone, like scrolling through TikTok, through Instagram. And I was just like, this isn't productive and or good for my mental health. So I like deleted the apps for like a solid like 3 days, which is a lot for me. And it felt really nice. And I was just like, okay, balance. Like, and sometimes it's like, it feels kind of weird when I'm creating things just for social media instead of like, I stopped doing it for myself necessarily, and it's for the viewers. And that's when I'm like, okay, it's time to take a second. It's time to take a breather from this until you decide to be motivated by yourself again.
Definitely. And I think your viewers like read into that. They can tell when you're being more authentic and just like doing things for you and having them be in your world as opposed to making your world around them.
Totally. Yeah.
That's interesting. I only experienced that kind of thing on a really small level, where I kind of find like, oh, somebody doesn't know about this band, so I need to make sure I put a little clip out there about them. And then I'm kind of like, but I already know who this band is, and why am I doing this? And I already posted about when the interview is and everything else, but it's kind of like there's this pending need that keeps kind of bugging me, and I don't like it at all. But it's a double-edged sword, because if I don't let people know about it, then they don't know who this band is or what they sound like, or maybe they want to check them out on their own or something. So it becomes like, okay, I have to find that balance of how much do I put out, when do I put it out, and then step away from it too at the same time.
Yeah. I also liked what Tigerlily was saying, just about like, I think social media is a good thing. And like, I agree with you that like the community on there can be really great. And maybe it's just like the intention going into like exchanges between people over social media and what you post. And just like, if you move with that like intention of like creating a community instead of just like, look at me, like, I don't know. I like it's a two-sided kind of thing. It's like a conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, like social media allows you to have kind of an audience around the world as opposed to just being in your city. Like you guys would just have LA fans and I would just have Seattle fans, but here, like I can go to another country and have like set up a show and I know people would show up, and that's really cool to know.
Yeah, and that actually brings up an interesting thing, because I think all three of you have done at some point like live streams, like on Instagram, that type of thing. So it's that been a positive experience for all three of you?
Yeah,
for sure. I miss it. Like I miss performing live, so live streams like fulfill that part of my soul.
Yeah.
Okay, and Tigerlily, been good for you as well?
Yeah, they're great for me. I've been doing them for all of my song releases. There's been like parties we've done on Instagram.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, it's and like Mariah, like you were saying, I mean, even for myself, just doing anything, not social media wise per se, but just virtually, I now know people all over the world that I most likely would never have any chance of ever talking to unless it was through some kind of, I don't know, direct message or something else. But it would never be something like this where we're actually talking in real time in, well, two different areas of the world, of Los Angeles and Seattle. But still, just like I mentioned, tomorrow I'll be talking to someone in Italy and then someone in, the East Coast and the Netherlands and all that kind of thing. And that's definitely a huge plus of the platforms and anything else, that reach goes well beyond your local area for sure.
Yeah.
So how has it been being young female artists in this industry? I know some people's stories are already from talking to you during interviews or just other things I've heard, offline, but has it been something that you've been mindful of in terms of how you approach what you do with your career and with your work? Or has it been something where I'm just doing what I do and the chips fall where they do, or a little bit of both?
I think it's always affected things that I've done. Because I mean, I think when I went into Bleach Bear, it wasn't part of, like, I wasn't really aware of it when I was in my band. But then when I started the pop projects, I was older and I'd already been doing music for like 10 years through the band. Then I was kind of aware of it. So I made it kind of central to my mission when I launched the pop project, that I wanted it to be a project where I was really conscious of that and like talking about that in all of my interviews. And I think it also plays in, for me at least, it's both like gender, but it's also like race, like being a minority woman, being like an Asian American woman, and like, because those are both groups that are underrepresented within the music industry. Like women are super underrepresented, but Asian Americans are even more underrepresented. So like both of those things I was aware of, and it's also affected just like the way that I think it really affects everything. I think it also really affects how the industry sees you, and like if whether it's talking to like the press, whether it's talking to managers, labels, like even interacting with like video directors, like the industry as a whole is very male dominated. Like even when I'm doing, like, I just shot, I'm really tired because I had a music video last weekend and the weekend before it and the weekend before it, and like everyone I was interacting with, like it was just really hard to find like women in the industry as far as like videographers, cinematographers, like all directors. So I feel like I'm always like the only woman on set, like, or when I go to work on the songs, I'm like the only woman. All the guys, the audio engineers, they're all men. And like I try and seek out other women, but you just kind of get used to it, like working in the industry. And I think that it definitely affects how people interact with you, how people view you. But I always just try and bring awareness, like when I'm talking about things and interviews and stuff, about like how people are underrepresented. And then also just like trying to be conscious of that, like in the way I carry myself in my music and the lyrics that I'm putting out there, so that I'm doing something that I'm proud of, that I'm hoping is like a good representation that I would want. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. There have definitely been times in my career where I could just like feel like I was being taken less seriously, and maybe it was because of my gender, maybe it was because I was super young, maybe a combination of both. But like for the most part, I do know what I'm doing, and I'm very sure of myself in a lot of ways, and I like trust my abilities and instincts. And so like I think I'm in a better place now, and the people that I work with, I feel very, very respected by them, which is great. But I remember like starting out, I could like kind of sense like, oh, you don't think I know what I'm doing. Like I kind of have to prove that I know what I'm doing to you. But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely relate to both of those sentiments as like a female in the industry. And I think something that's really helped me throughout my career is finding like that core group and like people that respect you and your vision. I mean, I've gone through relationships in the industry where like things just didn't work out because people were trying to push me down an avenue that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with as like either a female artist or just me and my vision and my goals as an artist. So just knowing like your values and what you want to stick to, how you want to represent yourself in a room, and just like not losing sight of that along the way. Yeah.
I agree.
It's interesting too. I know from some of the folks that I had a chance to interview, particularly like there's been, I think something similar with the film industry when it comes to females in the film industry. And I know someone who's a director and trying to surround herself with talented female people to make her films. And she finds some that maybe don't have the same talent that she's looking for. So she's trying to be mindful of it, but she's not finding the people where she's located. And so it becomes a struggle. Or on the flip side of it, then she finds some people that might be really talented, male or female, or even non-binary, but then they're jerks or they're hard to work with or something. So she's like, where's my tribe at? She's trying to find them, and she's not having a lot of luck right now. It's getting very frustrating for her. But like you guys have said, when you find those people, then you hang on to them. And you keep them close to you.
Absolutely. And I feel like in certain parts of the industry, especially like, audio engineering and like the things that are definitely like very male dominated, I don't even think, I feel like the shortage of like women who like can be part of like somebody's circle. It's not that there aren't any, it's just that like a lot of women get discouraged to continue like cultivating their talent in that field. So like, I feel like there are a lot of women who are there with a ton of potential, and then somewhere along the line, like they just feel like they are not welcome in that profession. So they don't get to like see their talent like through, which sucks. And so I feel like there would be an equal amount of insanely talented women in music production and any kind of like, part of the music industry. There would be a lot more if the environment was a little bit more welcoming. And so, yeah, I don't really know where else I want to go with that, but I definitely have like sensed it in different like professions, not even just music, in other male dominated professions around like anything.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to see that like just the conversation is starting, like I think that's the first step is conversation and like just knowledge and having that representation in different ways will be like a good avenue for people to not feel like undermined or undervalued. Yeah, so like the last couple of years there's been a definite shift, but there's a long way to go.
Yes. But yeah, I'm lucky to have a ton of like really talented women on my team. Like my managers are both women, and they're just like, they get shit done. They're amazing. Like I have like cinematographers and directors around me, and I'm just so inspired by them too, because I love like the female perspective, and I love that there's more art being created from the female perspective, because we have a lot of insight and we come from a very different place sometimes than men who have been like dominating certain fields of the industry. So now we're I think, as you said, like there's a shift happening. I think as that shift continues and like the work continues to be done and more women feel empowered to continue like their work and cultivating it, the entire music industry or the art industry or entertainment industry in general is going to change. And there's going to be so many different points of view available to us when we want to like watch or listen or, read
Inspired.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. And I'm thinking about how there is a female musician that I interviewed, and she was saying she was so used to anytime they rolled into town when, before the pandemic to play a show, someone would see her and say, oh, are you the merch girl? Are you the keyboard player? It's like, no, I'm the lead guitarist in the band. And there's all these stereotypes to get associated with that, guys don't have to put up with. So there's this harder road, unfortunately, that's been created over many, many years for young, talented ladies to do what they want to do and do it on their own terms. So hopefully, even like doing this is in a small way, trying to expose some of this to everybody out there who maybe doesn't think about that kind of thing. They just want to listen to tunes and not really care about any of it. It's like, well, if you want to keep listening to tunes and from talented people, you got to understand where they're coming from and help support them in other ways than just listening to their music. In my opinion. So
and thanks for giving us the opportunity and platform to be able to have these discussions and get to know other artists and stuff. It's really cool.
Totally.
Oh yeah, I thank you. I mean, I appreciate it. I do my best to try to walk the walk as much as I can, and sometimes I don't, but I do what I can. And I'm even thinking as I look at Tigerlily's screen and we were talking about this before, that I first met her and her band. I want to say it was like 2015, so maybe 6 years ago. So you were like, I don't know, maybe high school or something like that.
Yeah, middle school. Brent and Miko were in middle school. I think I was in high school.
Good God, yes, that was a long time ago.
I know.
But it's great to see how things have progressed, and that. And I also remember when we did your interview, Tigerlily, that you were talking specifically back in, I think, June when we were doing it, about the underrepresentation of women, of Asian American women, of wanting to be a badass female artist in this industry, and all those kind of things. So I think it's great to see that you're still pursuing that, and you're putting in the work, obviously, because like you said, you've been shooting videos back to back, and you're dog tired now from trying to manage everything. But it's what you're passionate about and what you believe in, and more power to all three of you for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there's definitely gaps in the. I think there's gaps in the industry. I think there's gaps because there's underrepresentation, so there's just less female artists, less female directors, etc. But I think there's also gaps too, because I think there's kind of this false view of things that I think some women have, that there can only be one spot at the table. So oftentimes I've seen other women artists or things not even collaborating with each other. So I've kind of taken it, at least in my personal mission, to try and go out of my way to, when I'm having the release parties, I've done a couple where I only invited female artists. I actually founded I founded a music agency, because I was just tired of putting up with having to work with people who didn't respect my vision. So I created an agency entirely founded by women, working for music marketing purposes. So I feel you gotta work kind of harder. You gotta if things are missing, you kind of have to go out of your way to create those spaces, create those opportunities, and you have to really know your stuff, because like Ashlyn was saying, people assume you don't know what you're talking about. So I was I need to be way more informed than whoever I'm talking about whatever it is. If it's directing the video, if it's cinematography, if it's playlisting, whatever the topic is, I've made it taken upon myself that I need to be super informed about everything, so that nobody can come at me with things and be you don't know what you're talking about. So in every conversation, I know exactly what it is, so that I don't get those stereotypes anymore of oh, you don't know what you're talking about with your production notes or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely it's a battle, but and it's tiring, but it's a battle worth fighting, and I'm super happy to be working on it.
It's so cool that you started an agency. That's insane. I love that.
Know, more power to you, girl. That's dope.
Yeah, 10th House Agency. If anyone ever wants to check it out, www.10thhouseagency. But yeah, it's been cool. That's been what I've been working on down here in LA, on the side, building that up. Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that is amazing. And I'm thinking back to, I watched this documentary about Olympia Dukakis, who is an Academy Award-winning actress, and she talked about that when she was first trying to get into the theater world in New York, being from Greece, she wasn't even getting auditions because they saw her name. They said, "Oh, you're too ethnic." As soon as they just saw her name. And so she's like, well, fuck this. I'm just going to create my own theater company then. And that's exactly what she did. And it's still running today, all these years later. It's unfortunate that she had to get to that point where she had to do it on her own, just like what you're talking about, creating your own thing, Tigerlily. But she also had the wherewithal to say, yeah, basically, fuck this. I'm going to do what I want then. And I'm going to find my own path and give these opportunities to other women and other folks of ethnic backgrounds to do what I wanted to do instead of getting the door shut in their face and sometimes not even opened.
Yeah, exactly. An amazing like mentality to have too. Like just instead of being so deterred and like retreating, to be a problem solver and adapt. And I mean, like it's not fair that people have to do that, but that they do that and then make something of it is so amazing.
For sure, and not letting yourself get too jaded about it either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt when I was doing my music. I was getting feedback from people about like even when I released Lisbon, like the first song I released, people, when we played it for like a bunch of like guys, managers in the industry, people like trying to get people to want to collab with me, want to like put on the song, feature it. And they were all like, oh, the song's like too, like it's too cute. Like no one's going to like this song. Like this is like, this girl doesn't have a future. Like she's boring, like whatever. I was like, I like the song. Like it's my first single. Like obviously everyone can grow. I'm not saying it's like the end all be all, but I was like, I believe in myself as an artist. No one wanted to manage me, nothing. And now the song is surpassed like 500,000 streams, no manager, nothing. And I was like, because I was like, I'm gonna do it myself then. If no one believes in me, no one wants to manage me, I'll learn everything. Like I literally bought like a giant textbook, started reading about the music industry, and now I have a music marketing agency. But I feel like that's just kind of like the mindset. Like if people don't see what you see in yourself, then you got to just kind of like learn it, do it yourself. Just like create the opportunities that you feel like you're lacking.
Yeah, and good thing you did, because obviously people want to listen to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and doesn't it feel kind of nice, and not to be petty or anything, but when someone says no or doesn't want to support you, and then you do something on your own, and then you find an audience, you're kind of like, well, yeah, basically.
Yeah. It's so good to prove people wrong. It's one of my favorite things.
I totally agree. Yes, I know. There's a couple people I'm like, I hope they heard this song, or like I hope they see like how much I've grown, and like just I'm like, oh wow, okay, whatever.
Yeah, no, again, for me on a small level, I can relate to that, because there's some a festival locally that I won't name that this was like because of the pandemic, a year and a half ago, who were like, yeah, we'll credential you to cover our festival. And then they took a look at my reviews and said, well, you don't really write the way we want things reviewed, so we're not really sure if we want to credential you anymore. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm just going to move on to the next thing. And then now I got credentialed through 3 much larger, more well-known film festivals, and then this one came back asking me about, hey, so maybe you've gotten better in a year's time with your reviews. And I'm like, yeah, you can take a hike. I don't want anything to do with you. And it's unfortunate, because I think there's probably some really good things that they do as an organization, but the people in charge of that aspect for the press, yeah, they need to check themselves and I'm not saying that I'm, God's gift to anything, because I'm not, but it's like I have put in the time and the credentials are there.
Yeah.
The Sale Opera wouldn't say yes to me, or the Pacific Northwest Ballet would not say yes to me, or Lionsgate Films would not say yes to me if there wasn't something there. So, but yeah, I just didn't like the way they were kind of more of a condescending thing, because no's fine. I get no's all the time, but kind of looking down their nose at me, like, yeah, I don't respond well to that at all.
Doesn't feel good.
No, but what's something that, and maybe it's something you've already talked about a little bit, but what's something that's been really positive, something that you're really happy about, something that could be something that's coming up, or something that's been happening in the last, recent month, 2 months, that you're like, this makes me feel good. This is something that I'm really happy about, and that you'd like to share with the group here.
I think for me, I have really started to find kind of like my niche in pop music. Before I was kind of like, do I want to be more upbeat? Do I want to be more moody? And I think I found like a sound that's a happy balance, and I've been writing in that way and producing songs in that way. And like just the act of like getting out and setting up Zoom calls with producers and, getting things done. It's been really, really fulfilling because I was in like a really bad slump because I was like, I'm not putting anything out. It's like summertime coming up. I need to start, getting music out there. So just finding that identity in music and knowing that like this is the direction I'm going to grow in has been really rewarding and like exciting. And like this is the first time in a long time I've been excited about working and like feeling that passion again because I've been doing music since I was a little kid. So like feeling that passion and not being burnt out is so like it's like a whole nother level of music for me. I don't know.
That's so cool.
Yes. Hype.
Yeah. I guess for me, these like past couple months and then like upcoming few months, I have been songwriting less because I have like an EP coming out. So I've kind of been in the process of like figuring out what I want to do with all of the like quote unquote like marketing of it. And so I get to like make music videos now, and I've never really done that before for myself. So that's been just really cool, like putting together all these like ideas and mood boards and like working on like just like concepts out like that, like go with my songs, but aren't just like the songwriting aspect of it. And it's been really cool to branch out and figure out like how I want to present myself in my music videos or in my shows or in my like concerts when they get to come back with their live stream right now. And just like kind of like discovering my own persona outside of just the songwriting process has been so fun and rewarding. And it's come with some challenges and lots of trial and error. But like I've kind of been like doing the inner work to put myself in a place like, no, you keep one-upping yourself so everything's okay. Like you don't have to like compare yourself constantly to the other people around you and what they have or how much money they have to back them up, or like, there's so many factors that you don't even see, and there's so much work that they've also put in that you can't see. So I'm like, I'm putting in the work. I feel good about what I'm doing. And I think that having room to grow is a beautiful thing because I'm never going to stay stagnant. I'm going to keep learning. But yeah, that's what it's been for me, and it's been super fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I would say like, yeah, that's something I always think about too. Is like when you're working on something, because you see it every day, you don't really see the growth in it. Like I know, like with my own things, I'll be like, oh, I haven't done it. Like I'll be like, I haven't like done like because I always see like the songs that are like out. I'm like, okay, this song's out, this song's out, this song's out. So I'm like, oh, okay, like I've been like doing like working every single day on this, and I have like 3 songs out or whatever. So I'll be like, oh, I'm not doing anything, and then you'll talk to like your friends, and they'll be like, oh, you've been doing so much. Like so it's funny, like yeah. But I would say I'm excited for the music videos that are coming out. Yeah, the one we shot yesterday was awesome. I was super happy because I feel like with music videos, there's so many like pieces, and they're super stressful. But I'm always just grateful for like everyone who like shows up, like everyone. I mean, like there's just so many little things. Like I was like making a list yesterday in the car of like, because it was definitely tough. Like the model like crashed the car. There's a lot. I was just like, I was sitting in a Krispy Kreme parking lot like at like 1 a.m. after the shoot, just like so tired, and I was trying to count like all the things I was grateful for. I was like, I'm grateful for like the Krispy Kreme guy who was nice. Like there's like all these little things you gotta focus on that just like keep you going. Cause
absolutely,
yeah, it gets really tiring. Like, but it's yeah, I'm super excited for it. I think it's gonna look really cool.
I am too. I can't wait to see all the stuff you guys are coming out with.
Yeah, you too.
What's really cool is that with everything all 3 of you said, it sounds like there's a lot of this momentum coming, and it's things that are built off of your own foundations, which is awesome. It's not something that got put together with a team, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, this is what I want to do, and like what Ashlyn was saying about, now I want to try to figure out how to present myself in a video form, not just the songwriting form, and that's going to be a whole new avenue to explore and have fun with and grow with. And so when you do the first one, then you do the second one, do the third one, and then Mariah, it's great to hear that you're feeling like you're inspired, like you're finally finding your niche. And it's like, now I know where to go, because sometimes when you don't know which direction, that makes it really difficult, because you're like, you start second guessing yourself. I'll try this. Oh, that didn't really feel right, so I'll try this. And then you kind of feel like you're kind of floundering around for a bit. But it sounds like you found that, okay, I think I put my finger on where I want to go. So this is the direction I'm heading in, and that's really great. And Tigerlily, yeah, with everything that you're taking on, with like every aspect of what you do for your music and your videos and your career and management, it sounds like you're I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me at all if in 5 years or 10 years you're like the head of some big ass company that does all these things for other people, because you're already leading the way as an example.
Thank
you. Yeah, it's I mean, if someone had told me that back in 6 years ago, I don't know if I necessarily would have guessed that, but I'm glad to see that's where you're headed with everything. But you're actually very determined back then too, when I first met you and your sister and your cousin. So I guess that shouldn't surprise me too much. But yeah, I'm curious. What do you think of what is this current state of music? What's some of the stuff that you like for all three of you? What's out there that you could either recommend, tell other people about, if it's other independent artists, just things in general that they're kind of getting your groove on with?
This is like asking me to pick my favorite movie. It's like there's so many options. I like them all over the board. Some days I'm like really happy and listening to all this like upbeat, groovy stuff, and then I think my biggest go-to and fallback, like when I just drive in the car, is Charlotte Lawrence. She's like a very moody, really accentuates her lower register, which I relate with as like a female with a low voice. So just being able to like hit those lows and be like, hell yeah, I did that. And just really getting into her songwriting, which is really emotional and kind of like poetic in a sense. So Charlotte Lawrence is like my way, because I like to write poetry, and I used to like to write that. So having her kind of exemplify the path that I want to take, but do it on my own terms, is inspiring every time I listen to her.
Okay.
I would say Gracie Abrams is my new favorite like female artist I've discovered. I really love her song 21. I don't even know. I always it's so funny because people always think that I like know like a bunch of musicians or something, so I'm a musician, but I think I'm actually like usually slow, because like I have all my stuff that I've grown up listening to, and I still like love all the classic stuff like Radiohead, Rolling Stones. So like I don't even think I'm like a good source of like new music necessarily. So I don't know. She might have been huge for years, but I just found her and I like her.
Those are both. Yeah, I've been listening to like I don't know if her name is Umi or UMI. It's all capitalized, so I don't know if I'm saying it wrong. But I like her stuff a lot. She's like this she's like a super like chill artist. But I also like the visuals that she makes. She's made like a couple of visuals, and they like kind of like combine like animation and like real video, and it's so cool and like slightly trippy to watch. But I'm super inspired by her. Also, FKA Twigs is just like has always been like a huge inspiration to me. Her like music is just like very different and out there, and her choices are insane, and you can just like you can tell with like her music videos, her visuals, her like album art, her words, her everything, that she's just like so her own person, and she's like so honest with herself and like true to her like unique self, regardless of whether people will like it or not. And so I just completely admire that.
Umi's I think originally from Seattle too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So cool.
I'm 99% sure. So yeah, I think she hasn't been in Seattle for a while, but I definitely it's definitely like from Seattle. There's some Seattle connection.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll have to check out all the artists that you just mentioned, because I don't know any of them. So.
Yeah, see better.
Your playlists are going to be popping now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm kind of in the same boat that Tigerlily is talking about, that people think because I'm on the media side of things that, oh, I must know everything that's coming out, even if it's like in a different genre, like let's say metal, because I get a bunch of press releases, but I can't keep up with all that stuff. I just looked at my inbox before we started this, and there's like 23 things sitting there from publicists. So I'm like, I can't. I'm a media outlet of one. I don't have the time to go through all this stuff. But eventually, I do at least look at it. I do take the time to try to get an idea or a flavor of what this press release is about, and then I might look into it further if it intrigues me. Because that's actually how I got in touch with some people during these interviews. But so I don't want to necessarily miss out on somebody. But at the same time, it's like, depending on what's going on that day. So yeah, I'll get to that tomorrow, and then tomorrow becomes 3 days from now, and maybe 5 days from now. But I will get to it. It just takes me some time. For some people out there that are watching this, I don't know if they're aware that Ashlyn, you were in the industry early at a young age.
Yeah.
And so, can you just talk about that as general or as in depth as you want in terms of what that was like for you being such a young person in the entertainment world?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I was about 12, I booked a job as like the face of a really pretty huge brand for like kids music. And so I went on tour with them for 3 years. I sang on their albums. I was in all the music videos and commercials, and that was my life until I was 15 years old. And so it was insane. I didn't go to school anymore. I did school online. My family was the other few kids who were in the group with me. And it was just like day in, day out, like something new. We were in a new city every day. And when we weren't, we'd be like in Los Angeles or Alaska or somewhere filming a music video or recording. And it was just like working all the time. But it was something I truly enjoyed. And I actually really love work. Just like makes me happy. But definitely like coming out of that, I had to figure out who I was as an artist, because for years I'd been singing other people's songs and I turned into a persona for a brand, and it wasn't necessarily exactly who I was. And there were definitely sides of myself that I wasn't allowed to explore, just in the name of professionalism. And so all of that, you know, kind of flooding in at an age when other people had already kind of started their journeys of figuring out who they were, was kind of weird. And I write a lot of songs about it, but definitely like trying to become, because like I personally kind of like turned myself into like this robot who could always like, you know, put out a product. And so coming out of that and then trying to be more, have a more like human approach to art was difficult, but it feels a lot more natural. And I think that's why I'm really excited about the videos I'm creating and the songs I'm writing, because they're very honest. And yeah, that was what that was like.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that, because yeah, as I was looking at you and I was remembering our interview a month ago, I was thinking that, you know, that's going to have a huge impact on anyone that age, no matter what, especially if you're going around
for sure
touring and playing in front of thousands of people at that young of an age. That you can lose yourself real quick in that kind of world. And it's interesting that you're now finding yourself and how to express yourself and what you want out there, and that's got to be super exciting for you, because like this is 100% me. It's not anything else. It's not someone else's brand. It's strictly me.
Yeah. I also like, I don't know if we touched on this a ton, but like back talking about like being like a woman in the industry or a female in the industry in general, because like I was a young girl in the industry and I was definitely very protected by like the brand that I was with, but they were just like being in different parts of the country was very different, because I feel like in LA, it's very progressive in terms of like how people view women sometimes. Like obviously there are still a lot of like roadblocks and a lot of like prejudices, and I see that, but going to like the Midwest, sometimes it's just like, I don't know, it's just like a different mindset, and I could like feel it, and it was very subtle. But just like working with people from all different places, and I don't know, the belief systems are a little bit different. The way people are raised is just a little bit different. So like working with people from different places was also very eye-opening to how women were treated and the limitations that different mindsets put on women.
I totally empathize with that, because I'm originally from a really, really small town in Pennsylvania. It's a very traditional mindset, very traditional male-female roles in the world, and just what you're supposed to do after you graduate high school. And coming to Seattle, which is very progressive comparatively to where I'm from, it was very eye-opening and empowering to be like, oh, wow, I have like a say in things. People, when I walk in a room, people may listen to what I say, or people won't look at my crop top like, oh my gosh, her stomach's showing. Like I could just be myself and like just put myself out there, and it felt really rewarding, as opposed to getting like snarky side eyes back from my little hometown, which I still get when I go home, and it's whatever. It's just, I'm used to it, but now I know that there are other places that are a little more accepting.
Yeah, totally.
Tigerlily, what's been like for you? Because I know you've actually spent time in different parts of, actually not just the U.S., but other, outside of the U.S. as well. Have you kind of encountered anything in terms of how you were perceived as a woman?
No, I didn't really. I mean, probably I didn't really take it. I guess I was too distracted. I was having too much fun.
Never a bad thing.
I lived in London and Barcelona and then in Medellin and Colombia, and I was just having too much fun. I mean, I noticed it more with like race, like in certain like cities, like there just weren't like very many Asian people. Not London. London's very international, but like in like Colombia and like Spain, like it was definitely weird being Asian. But as far as like gender, I didn't really notice a difference.
That's cool.
Okay, and I'm just curious because I don't know if I ever heard the story. What got you down to Colombia?
I was doing an internship actually. I was working down there. Yeah.
Okay.
Plastic surgery clinic. But I wasn't working. I wasn't doing surgery. I was doing like marketing. Because I went to like business school for college. So I was doing random stuff. I was studying in London. Yeah, working in Colombia. Studying in Barcelona. It was all like academic stuff. Nothing too cool.
Well, it sounds cool to me. I mean,
yeah, it was really fun. It was a great time.
Yeah, because sometimes I was seeing like you had posts in Spanish. I'm like, so what did I miss here? I missed something.
I do take up Spanish. Yeah, I love Latin music. I love like Spanish poetry. Those are like some things that I definitely picked up living there.
Okay, cool. And and you've kind of, all three of you kind of touched on this some, but what kind of things would you say to a young female, let's say they're 14, 15, wanting to start their music career, just say entertainment career, maybe they go into film, acting, something else. What kind of things would you give them knowing what you've experienced so far?
I can start if you'd like. I have this quote that like, oh, sorry, my internet's a little bit faulty. I don't know if I just cut you off. I didn't hear anything. But okay. So yeah. Apologies on my faulty internet. So yeah, the quote said, I have this like thing that like gives you a quote each day, and like the quote that came up was, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time." And I think that's really all it comes down to. Like, I don't think you can, like, I think you see all these success stories of people who like get really big when they're really young. Like, I feel like that's like everything like the media like shows you. Like every artist who blows up, like when you look them up, they're always like 17, 20 years old. Like everyone's just super young. So, and like it sounds like all everyone here has been doing music for like a long time. Like whether you started, like I know like with like my band, we started that too, like 13, 12. So I like, even though I'm young, I feel like I've been doing this for like over a decade. I have been like, I feel old now, but I just feel like it also like it's good because you get this establishment of like, like it takes a while to figure out like you're saying, like about like your sound, like what you want it to sound like, to find like your niche within what you want to be doing, how you want to present yourself. Like there's so many things that go into it. And the nice thing is like when you have time and even like understanding like how like being a woman or like race and everything plays into and how you want to represent yourself, like all that takes a lot of time to figure out. So that if like a label or whatever swings by and wants to pick you up, like you're informed, like I feel like things happen when they're supposed to happen. So I would say like, if I was talking to someone younger, I would say like, don't give up and don't get discouraged if things aren't happening like quick enough or they're not happening soon enough. Because I think that things, if you just keep going at them, like things will happen. And you just have to have the right mindset. Like mindset really underlies, like I feel like everything, because like everything is super hard. So you just got to always like focus on your mindset. And if you can get your mindset right, like the rest will come.
Yeah. I'd say I forget which one of you guys said it, but just like there's sometimes like when with other girls in the industry, sometimes you feel like there aren't enough like I don't know, we're like conditioned to feel like there's like only a few slots, that we can like occupy. So like sometimes we feel like there's like more competition because like we don't know if there's a place for all of us. So I guess just like in my experience, I'd tell women who are getting started in the industry, like move as if there is space for you regardless. And like you said, like everything happens when it's supposed to. You don't have to look at other people as your competition. You can kind of look to them for inspiration. You can give them the love that you hope to get from the industry. And you can be like, you kind of like be what you want to receive. Another thing I'd say is your mindset determines your reality big time. And I remember like having this conversation with my mom when I was younger. I'm like, I feel like they don't respect me. I feel like they think I don't know what I'm doing. And she's like, well, how much of that are you projecting because of past experiences? Like, maybe go into new situations with like the mindset, like, yes, I know exactly what I'm doing. Like, I am respected. Like, I'm already worthy of respect. I'm not here to prove anything to you. I'm not here to fight for your respect. Like, I have it already. And then like, I can move away from this situation if you don't give me the respect I deserve. But I'm empowered enough to not stay in a weird situation to try and prove myself to you. If I know that I can, like, if I trust in the possibility that I'll find that respect elsewhere. And then, sorry, I'm talking a lot, but one more thing that I'm learning now is because I felt that way, and because I felt like I had to like prove my worth, I didn't want to ask for help ever. And now, as like an adult, I'm learning that it's okay to ask for help, and that it doesn't take away from your intellect or worth as an artist if there are things that you don't yet know how to bring to the table, and if there are things that you don't yet completely understand. And it's actually a very respectable thing to ask for help and to want to continue learning. And so that's my advice.
Yeah, I think you both are like definitely hit the nail on the head with all of that. And I think with like being okay to ask for help and like being okay to just be a sponge. Like, I think I've really learned to just soak up everything, like ask questions. Don't be scared to get your hands in there and like get on the mixing board, learn what the things are, because it could help you out later down the line. So I definitely think you both are right on all of that. And then the only thing I feel like I could add is just like be kind to yourself along the way, like give yourself love. I mean, there's going to be people that reject you or don't like what you're doing or necessarily see your vision, but that doesn't detract from like what you're putting out into the world and like who you are as a person. Just be in love with yourself and fall in love with what you're doing, and everything will fall into place, I think. So yeah.
Oh, well, all three of you, thank you for sharing everything that you just talked about. And it's even for me, anytime I can learn something, it's always a good day. And I've learned a lot from hearing from all three of you, things I didn't know, or even just perspectives, which is always great for me to kind of percolate on. So I appreciate all of that. And before we wrap this up, we'll just kind of round robin again. What do you have coming up? This is a good time to promote things, let people know what's going on with you, anything you'd like to say, and we'll just start up top with Tigerlily.
Yeah, I have a new song called Juneau, Alaska coming out. It's a collab with another Seattle artist, Fluency, that's coming out I think April 23rd. So we're gonna throw like some kind of IG live release party for that. That should be fun. It's a cool music video. We got like one of like the world champion parkour guys to do all these flips in it, so it'll be fun. Yeah, it's crazy. And then yeah, if anyone needs help with music marketing, check out 10th House Agency. All on my end.
Yes.
Awesome. And Mariah?
Be sure to check out my Instagram. I definitely post like everything that's coming up. I'll be having 2 singles at least come out this summer, which are to be named. And then I recently released a track called Reckless with 2 rappers, which I'm really into. Just a good vibe. So check out Reckless by me, and yeah, excited to see what comes next.
Okay, and Ashlyn?
I recently, back in March, released a single called Open. And so that is out on all platforms. I am releasing the visual for it this week, which I'm super excited about. I have another single coming out in May that I haven't named yet. And then I have an EP coming out at the end of June. And I'm super excited about it. It's my first EP. It's my baby. I'm really attached to the songs, and they're just a piece of my soul. And I'm really excited / nervous for it to be out in the world, but I'm excited to share it.
Amazing. Well, Ashlyn, Mariah, Tigerlily, thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon. And again, I'm fully in your corners. So if I can ever do anything to help support what you're doing, if it's virtually or otherwise writing reviews, I'm more than happy to do so, because I believe in everything all three of you are doing. So just do not hesitate to reach out. And I wish you every success with everything that you do. And again, I thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
So much,
Mark. And it was nice to meet you, ladies.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you all.
Yeah.
You're so cool.
I've seen you all around, but it's nice to officially meet you.
Yes, for sure.
All right, everybody. Have a great day and a great week. See you later.
You too. See you later.